What's up, guys? I have another deck profile for you today. This is Naruto CCG and it is Battle Reward Flip. This is one of my favorite decks that I've built. It's super fun, it pops off really hard in the late game, and it uses Tree Jutsu, which is really cool. Some of my favorite jutsu from the show, and it's sick that you can actually build a fairly competitive deck with that kind of strategy. So let's start off with 0-drops. We have 3 Neji Hyuga. When he's deployed, your opponent gets a battle reward, and then you can flip a battle reward face up once per turn. So he combos well with Team Asuma and Hanabi and stuff like that. Next, we have 2 Tamaris. She's good at stalling. This deck likes to stall to the late game, so that's why she's here. 2 Sakuras. She exchanges your hand with the top of your deck, the same amount of cards. So she combos really well with Hanabi because you can just put jutsus on the top of your deck, and then your Hanabi will flip them and they'll go to your hand when your opponent gets battle rewards. Really good card for this deck. Then we have 2 Shihos, kind of for the same reason. She draws a card, then you move one to the top. Basically the same thing, just a mini version. And then last 0-drop, 1/10/10. She draws you cards, cycles through your deck faster, and she's Earth. I need another Earth 0. Next we have 1-drops, the most important card in the deck. Protect her at all costs. So this Hanabi's effect is, when your opponent wins or gets any battle rewards, look at them. If there are 1 or more Earth Jutsu cards among them, you can reveal and move them to your hand instead, then move the rest of the battle reward area face up. So the part where you move the Jutsus to your hand can only happen on one instance of you getting battle rewards that turn, but the part where they go face up happens to all of them. So you get her effect and you get your jutsu to your hand with one instance of your opponent getting battle rewards, and then all the rest just go face up. So very important for this deck. Next, for 1-drops, Childhood. She draws cards and you have mental power. Also, she's limited to 1, so only 1. Next, 1 Shion Awakened combos really well with Hanabi. You just stack your deck, you have Hanabi out. Let's say you put 3 Earth Jutsus on top and then you use Shion's effect. You get those Jutsus back to hand. So it's like you just plus off of her effect. Really good card. Next, 2-drops, 2 10/10s. She gets stuff out of your battle reward area and gives your opponent a battle reward in the process. So she combos with Hanabi and Team Asuma. Next, 1 Hinata. This one is one where your opponent's tracked ninja can become the user of jutsu, and she can also flip a reward face up once per turn. So she's kind of a tech card for me, but I found that she's really good if you're playing against a deck where you know what ninjas are likely to use jutsus, like a Naruto deck or maybe a Pain deck or something like that. You know who's going to be using Rasengan. You know who's going to be using Summoning Jutsu Pain or Almighty Push, so she can just stop them from doing that. So I think that's really cool. She's searchable in this deck with Shikamaru's decision, so if you need her, you can get her. And then 1 Ino Playful. I don't have an extra deck except for Mind Transfer squads, so she's good. Each player cannot put in play 1 or more ninja per turn, so you stop decks that are trying to rush you and do a bunch of stuff, and then the effect text of your opponent's head ninjas are negated. So she's a good 1-of in the deck. Next, we have 3-drops, 2 Zetsu. If he's face up in your battle reward area, you can deploy him, so that's cool. He has ambush, and then he has tracking, and the effect text of your opponent's track ninja is negated. So if you really need an effect negated, this is your guy. Next, we have 4-drops, 1 Kurenai. She stalls. She is way better in this deck than she is in other decks, and she's still really good in other decks. So play one of her. And then 2 Yamatos. He has Ambush. When you play him, you can play a face-up mission in your battle reward area. So ideally, in the early game, you want to set up like one of these guys in your BR area and get it face up. And so this Yamato, when you play him, he plays a mission from the battle reward area. So your opponent goes -1 battle reward, and then Shelter takes 2 battle rewards. You get 1 to your hand and you discard 1. So by playing him, if you have this, your opponent goes -3 battle rewards, and that's a really solid combo. Next, I don't have any 5 drops, but I have 2 6 drops. 2 of the first Hokage. He has Mastery. When you play him, he gets back 2 rewards, so really can steal the game away from your opponent. If you go Yamato into Shelter, they lose 3, and then the next turn or a couple turns later, you play first Hokage and you get 2 more back. It's a really good card. And then you can also shuffle cards from your discard back into your deck, 4 per turn. So, really good card. He uses all your tree jutsus as well. So next we have missions. 3 Team Asuma. Pretty simple. Permanent 3. When your opponent wins or gets any rewards, you draw a card. You have a lot of cards that combo with this. Next, 3 Student Sensei. Your opponent gets 1 reward, you draw 2. If you have this out, your opponent gets a reward, you draw 3. Turns it into never-ending love without the downside. Next, 2 Calm Strengths. This is for problem ninjas whose effects you need to negate. Really solid counter permanent mission. And next we have 2 Shikamaru's Decision, because it's limited to 2 and I have mental power in this deck. Most of the ninjas you'd want to get with this are like Hanabi, Shion, Ino, Hinata, so you're going to be getting the draw off of the female part. And next we have 2 Training in the Moonlights, because it's limited to 2. Discard 1 from your opponent, and then if you have equal to or more cards in your hand than them, you draw 2 cards. And last 2 missions, 2 Shelters. When it's in your chakra area, your opponent's hand size is reduced by 1, so that's kind of cool, but this is mostly in there for the Yamato combo, where you play it from your BR area. But also good to play if you're on turn 4, you just have it in your hand. Next we have Jutsus. We have 3 Wood Style Great Forest Jutsu. Requires tree, 1 ninja battling against the user, move the target to its owner's hand, then this jutsu goes back to your hand. So it's basically like free mastery. It's kind of like Sharingan Kunai, but Earth or Wood's version of it. Next, 2 Concentration. Protects your ninjas with the same symbol from jutsu effects. Pretty solid if you're playing a mono earth deck for the most part. 1 8 trigrams. It's limited to 1. This is like the 3rd copy of Concentration, or I guess you could say the Concentrations are the 2nd and 3rd copy of trigrams, because trigrams is just a better concentration, and you have Byakugan, so you can get that expert effect that prevents damage as well. Next we have a bunch of 1-ofs. 1 How, just because any ninja can use it if you really need to. And then 1 Mind Transfer. I have Ino in this deck, so I can get the expert, and also it's just a really strong earth jutsu. If you use it with Ino, you keep their ninja until the end of your next turn, so you can Mind Transfer and then squat up into something. So that's pretty good. And then last 2 cards are 2 1-ofs. 1 Sealing the Evil and 1 Wood Style 4 Pillars Prison Jutsu. They're both limited to 1 on the list I play. Sealing requires tree combat attribute, target 1 ninja, move the target to the bottom of its owner's deck. So it's a snipe. It makes sense why it's at 1. And if you mastery with this, it's pretty insane. And then Wood Style 4 Pillars Prison, arguably the more broken one, Tree Combat attribute. Every one of your opponent's ninjas on the battlefield, target becomes standby. And the fact that you can play this with a turn 4 ninja is really good. And also, because first Hokage has mastery, you can get to a point where you just have this and then this in hand, and you're just using this once. If your opponent doesn't have anything, mastery it back, wait till next turn, use it, mastery, wait till next turn, use it, and so on. And you're just getting value that whole time because you're stalling out, getting your battle rewards back. So, insane card. And for my reinforcement deck, I'm not going to bring it out, but it's mostly just targets for mind transfer jutsu that you can squad into with Ino. So like if you steal a Naruto, you can go into Naruto Hinata or Naruto Shion, or you can go into Hokage Naruto if it's late enough, or like Sage Mode Naruto. So you could also go into like Naruto Yamato type stuff. So just stuff for the extra deck would just be mind transfer, squad, reinforcement targets. And that's it. Let me know what you guys think about it.